welcome back to Let's Talk Travel with the Pretty Wanderer, and I am the host, Fatima Barnes. Episode 1 was awesome, and I hope that if you listened, you learned something. I am thankful for all of the support that was shown. But in today's episode, we have got a lot of great info. This is the special Mother's Day episode, and I am excited about that because there is some great tips and great information you will learn. I will have a panel discussion with 3 moms that love to travel, and I will announce the winner of the passport giveaway. So I am super excited about that. So let's get ready for Let's Talk Mom Life. On to today's tips. Today's tips, or as I like to say, pulling from my luggage of tricks, are going to be special. Why? Because this is the Mother's Day episode, and the tips are totally focused on the moms out there. So disclaimer, because I don't want you to say I ain't tell you, but I am not a mom. However, I've done a great deal of research. I've interviewed several moms and come up to a conclusion of the top 5 tips that I feel will be beneficial for you as a traveling mom, an aspiring traveling mom, or even a dad out there. It was extremely hard to narrow these tips down to 5. I am going to be so honest with you because I just got so much amazing information during this research journey that these are tips I even plan to use one day if I bring children into the world, because I thought that they were just that awesome. And it actually made me feel better about, okay, when I do have kids and I can still travel and I can bring them with me. These are some things that's going to make it easier for me and things that I will consider. So let me break it down for you. So the main tips that I got was surrounding saving money on food. And so I'm going to start that off as number 1 because it's more like number 1, A, B, C, D. All of them kind of coincide, and I could not just leave some of them off because I thought they were all such great ideas. So the biggest one that I heard was saving money on food by moms bringing full meals, packing food, snacks, the whole 9 for their children for the airport so they don't have to eat airport food and spend a lot of money for them. I've even heard so far as packing chicken dinners like chicken and rice. I've heard sandwiches, Lunchables, the whole 9. You can bring that through TSA, moms. That is absolutely okay. What you cannot bring is their juices over 3 ounces. However, I did hear a big solution on that, and I never would have thought about that. But a lot of the moms said that they actually utilize the free water stations at the airport, the free purified water stations at the airport that they have. In most airports, you will see them. They bring their kids empty cups and pack Crystal Lights, and they use that free water and bring the Crystal Lights with them, and now their children has juice. So I thought that was such a creative idea. Another one that I got was, of course, eating at restaurants where kids can eat for free under 12. I even heard kitchenettes, booking rooms that has maybe a mini kitchenette or even a Airbnb where you could cook breakfast one day or maybe dinner a couple of days throughout the trip and save some money there. I also heard a big one, which is utilizing cruises and all-inclusive resorts, because that can kind of go in several factors, but you really save money on food the most because it's included in the price and you can eat as much as you want. But another benefit to using cruises and all-inclusive resorts is there's a lot of things for children to do at these resorts, and there's even things and activities in which you can get a break and your kids are with chaperoned, vetted out childcare that works with them and does fun things with them. So it's a win-win all the way around. So I thought that was some really good tips about saving money. So that was number 1. Number 2, and I've never thought about this, but I've always seen it, and that is looking ahead of time at the airports that you're going to be going into and seeing what kind of PlayStations that they have for children. I have always seen those PlayStations and just never thought anything about it. I remember going through the Hong Kong airport and seeing that they had like a museum and they had like a PlayStation and all kind of stuff for the kids to play games and stuff. And when you're traveling further distances, you'll find that they need that, especially if they're going to be in an airport. If you have a long layover, you can look ahead of time and find out exactly which terminal and where and what they have for your kids. Another one that I heard, which is tip number 3, is download. make sure that you have downloaded all your kids' favorite movies and shows or whatever that it is on their iPads. Bring their favorite toy, favorite book, whatever it takes to keep them entertained. Don't be afraid to get up and walk around the airplane with them, if you're on a longer flight especially, because they need to be entertained. Like me as an adult, it's hard for me to be on a flight for 10 plus hours with no entertainment. I can only imagine for a child. So that's tip number 3. Tip number 4, and that is flying with your kids as much as you can up until the age of 2. And I thought that that was a great idea because especially you may not feel comfortable with them completely an infant, but maybe when they're 1 for like that first year, for sure, 1 to 2, you can take advantage of the free airport airfare on most airlines. I do have to say that some international airlines, they will charge like 10% of the airfare, or they may charge you just taxes only on the flight if you're going internationally with your child. But you can take advantage of traveling with your child when you're comfortable up until they're 2 for sure, and not have to pay for their airfare. So that saves you money there. And my 5th and final tip, this was a mouthful. Once again, I got to give my hats off to you moms. You have a lot to think about when you travel with children. But my 5th and final tip is going on TripAdvisor or wherever you look for, wherever you're going, and looking up all the free activities that they have in that city that you're going to be traveling to. And that is really true, because the thing about it is you have so many places that has like the aquariums that may be free or almost free, museums that are free or almost free, so many different parks and so many different things like that for kids in cities. So check out what's freebies that's nice for the kids to do, because it does not take a lot to please a child or make them happy. So you can find some freebie things to do. And not only the freebie things, you will find that in most cities, there will always be something for children to do. I remember even being in Vegas and being like, wow, you could so bring kids here. And I don't even think of Vegas like that. Or even Dubai, I remember thinking like, wow, it is so much for kids to do. So that is my 5th and final tip. And that concludes the tips for this episode. I did run across a blog from Katya and Kids on Instagram, and she had a lot of great tips because she blogs about traveling with her children and loving it. So you might want to check her out if you are interested in more information. Now we've got to take a quick break, but when we come back, it's the moment you guys have been waiting for. We are going to talk to 3 awesome moms, Modesty, Callie, and Antionette. Have you thought about starting your own podcast? Well, listen, honey. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. You can't beat free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. That's huge. That's right. No minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So get that phone out, download the free Anchor app, or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's right, anchor.fm to get started. Okay, y'all, so we're back, and I have 3 of my best friends and sisters who are all such dope moms. They all have worked full-time, been in school, the whole 9, and still make time for themselves to do what they love and travel. I introduce to you all Modesty, Callie, and Antionette. I am so glad y'all are here. How y'all doing?
I am doing great.
I'm doing very well. Thanks for asking.
I am doing awesome. I have had a wonderful day, and I am excited about doing this interview with you.
Well, I'm certainly glad to have you guys here today. It really means a lot. I just remember before you guys had kids, to now after having kids, going on trips with you guys, turning in homework and school assignments, making sure that still was taken care of, business was taken care of, FaceTiming your babies, the whole nine. And it's been actually quite magic to watch. So I have to give my hats off and respect to y'all. But can you guys tell the listeners a little bit about yourselves? I want them to hear the awesomeness for themselves.
Well, my name is Antionette Washington, and I am a 31-year-old single mother to 9-year-old twin boys. I am currently working as a social worker at a shelter. It's a nonprofit organization where we pretty much provide services to the population between 16 to 23 years of age, male and female, pregnant or non-pregnant for females. We pretty much provide services within the house and as well as working with other outside entities to make sure that their needs are met, whether it's housing, food, daycare, whatever the case may be. We kind of set them up to learn how to be independent.
Hi, everyone. My name is Callie, and I am 30 years old. I am married with 2 children. I work at an elementary school right now, but I am currently a senior at the University of Southern Mississippi, where I will be graduating in December with my degree as a teacher.
Okay, awesome.
Hello, everyone. I'm Modesty Fairley. I am a wife. I've been married for 7 years. I'm also a mother to a 2-year-old wonderful little boy. I am a family nurse practitioner. Right now, I'm working in New Jersey, fighting and helping them get their state back together from the coronavirus. And I'm excited to be here doing this podcast with my friend this evening.
Oh, thank you. Now, y'all, I done learned so much from y'all. I have seen the challenges. So, what would y'all say is the biggest challenge being a mom that loves to travel?
For me, for the longest, my biggest challenge was being in school and having 2 young boys and still trying to make that time for the three of us as a family, as a unit. The majority of their life, and they're only 9 years old, I was in school because I went straight from working on a bachelor's to being in grad school. So that took up a lot of time for me being a mother to them. So I had to strategically plan family time, which was travel time for us, to where it would benefit us as a family.
Okay.
I would say mine would be school as well. I'm one of those people that you mentioned earlier that would travel and still write papers in the airport, get to the hotel before a particular excursion, sit down and have to write papers, all while trying to juggle being a mom, make sure, especially traveling out of the state. Out of the country. You're still worrying about your child, even though you know they're in good hands, but then have to juggle that. Still try to enjoy your trip and not be the person that's kind of lagging behind just to keep up, as well as getting school assignments in on time. And I would also say this wouldn't be necessarily a challenge, but traveling moms seems to get a lot of backlash from people such as coworkers, and all that. And I feel like not necessarily for me, but some moms don't travel for that reason because they don't want to receive that criticism from other people.
That's deep.
Definitely.
That's deep.
My biggest challenge before I decided to go back to school, was actually finding the time to travel, because the job that I had was so demanding, and it was literally like asking somebody for a kidney to get a weekend off. Now that I don't have a job that's so demanding, I am in school, and I took a huge pay cut to go back to school. Now it's more so, do I really want to spend that kind of money on a trip when I know I'm paying tuition? And so it's always something, but I make sure I go and do what I want to do at the end of the day, because I know that you only get so much time on earth, and I don't want to regret my life because I was decided to go back to school late, or because the money and now it's more so, I want to do what makes me happy, even if that means, I can't buy the vehicle that I want, or, something like that.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And to elaborate on what Callie said, because I get where she's coming from, because we've been friends for many years. When she said that having the job and not being able to find the time, but I can honestly say since she has switched jobs, even though she is making less, she made it her business to find time to take care of herself.
Sure.
And I feel like if she would have still been at that other job, she wouldn't have been able to do that. You would have literally been doing what you was doing then, work, school, mom, and not taking care of yourself at
Yes.
all, which is quite devastating to mental health. Like we need a
Yes.
break,
Right.
it's like a necessity. Some people have to go see a therapist or do this and
Mm-hmm.
that. Ours is traveling,
Yes.
getting away from, all the everyday norm and just doing something with other people.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
A
So
demanding job can also cripple individuals, especially moms who want to travel, whether you're married or not married. It can cripple you from your personal life. And I have been in that position before where it crippled me. I couldn't do much with my children, even do much for myself as a woman. I had to take that time and say, hey, self-care and family time is still vital, as well as working your
I
job.
definitely agree.
And I
right,
had to prioritize that in my life, making sure I still made time for my children as well as myself outside of the job. Because in my field, it's very easy to get burnt out. And I
it
was at
is
that point where I was burnt out and I was neglecting my own children. But as a social worker, here I am taking care of other people's children. So a
true.
demanding job can be rewarding in some ways, but in some ways it can handicap you from being able to create time for your family and yourself.
Yes.
Right. And when you're not taking care of yourself, you're not a good asset to the job, your
Yes.
family,
Mm-hmm.
or really
Mm-hmm.
anybody. I mean, self care is important.
I
Mm-hmm.
definitely
Yes.
agree.
Yeah, and I can attest to that. I've been friends with each one of you guys for over 10 years. Either 10, it's 10 plus for all of us at some point. And so we've all kind of seen each other at different stages in our lives, right? And I can honestly say that I can see the difference in you guys when you started to make that switch to say, you know what, I still have to travel and do more because at some point, Callie, I know you've missed a couple of trips because of your demanding job and things like that, and Antoinette the same. And so I've seen that switch and that life in y'all, and I also know, and I'm proud of y'all for actually just saying like, hey, I have to do this and making it a priority to do it. I think that's very important, and I think it's good for people to see that y'all actually do that. So my hat's off to you. Which kind of brings me to my next point, because I know that when you guys are away, you miss your children, right? Obviously, those are your little ones. You see them every day. So what's something that kind of brings you guys comfort when you are away, like when you're traveling and you're away?
I would say knowing that they're in good hands, you're going to leave them with someone who's reliable, who's responsible. And my family say I'm extra when I leave, but I literally type out every single thing to do, what time to take him here, what time he need to be picked up. I have all his clothes ironed because I try to make it easier for the next
Mm-hmm.
person because it can, you're putting that responsibility on somebody and it can be a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I just try to make it easy. And I feel like if I make it easier for them, then I know that they'll take good care of my
Mm-hmm.
son. And then not only that, with iPhones, especially if you get the was it an international
Mm-hmm.
roaming or all the extra data, you have access to FaceTime. You can still make calls here and there when you're on Wi-Fi. You can still see
Mm-hmm.
them. So that gives me a lot of comfort knowing that they're in good hands and knowing that I've done my part as to helping the person who's going to be taking care of him, especially as far as getting his clothes, typing out a list, just making it easier for them, and then knowing that I can still see him while I'm gone.
Mm.
I definitely think like a lot of the points that she made is what helps me as well. I know like on our trip to Dubai, that was one of the biggest things for me. I made sure I saw my children every day through FaceTime or Facebook Messenger or whatever app we could use to video chat. And then like Modesty was saying, before I leave to go on a trip that I know that I may have limited access to actually calling because of, different time zones, I make sure like my children, they're in daycare, and my husband, he referees and do a lot of things after school as well. So I'll make sure I have someone to pick them up each day that I know I'm not gone, that I'll be gone, because I know that that is one of the things that I do. He dropped them off in the morning, I pick them up in the evening. So the things that I am normally responsible for the children, I make sure all of those things are taken care of. Like, he don't have to try to figure out who's going to come home and pick the girls up from daycare, or and then I make sure like my parents or my mom know like what day the girl's hair needs to be combed, or things like that that we normally wouldn't think of. And one of the biggest things that I do try to do before I leave is always make sure my girls have their hair braided, so I don't have to worry about someone not making sure their hair is how I like their hair to be during the daytime.
Okay.
Leaving my children with someone that I trust is my biggest concern. I don't know if other moms can relate, and if you ladies can, please interject and say something. It's very weird to me, but my heart pounds very fast at certain times when my children are in my care and when they're not in my care, because that's how much I worry. I don't know what it is, and I can't describe it. So when my children are in other people's care, that's my main thing. I even do certain things like Modesty stated she does. I make sure that their suitcase is packed to a T. They actually have their own little personal suitcase and their own personal backpack. And I make sure that they have everything that they need to make it easy and convenient on the other individual who's going to be caring for them.
I agree.
My children are at the age where they can talk back and tell me definitely what has happened, what has taken place. So as they're getting older, I'm not worrying as much because they're at that age where they're definitely verbal, and they've been verbal for a minute, but to still be at the age where they can definitely talk and let me know right from wrong, it makes it slightly easier for me to not worry as much.
I
I
agree.
definitely agree.
Cause they gonna talk now. Them kids gonna talk. When they old enough to
And
talk,
kids will
they gonna
tell
tell
you.
you.
Mhm.
So that is a really, really good point. And so that actually kind of leads into my next question, because I'm sure some of the moms listening may kind of think about this, but how tough has your experience been finding good care while you're away? Like actual good care. How tough is that?
For me personally, it has not been tough at all because my children are with the same people every day. My husband and my parents.
Mm-hmm.
So they already know their routines. Usually if I'm gone, my mom is automatically going to pick them up, or I can send her a text message even if I'm not out the country. Hey, can you pick the girls up today? Whenever whenever I decide to go on a girls trip with my friends, me and my husband, we have a calendar, and I always let him know well in advance on the calendar, like the days I'll be gone. And if it's like during football or basketball or whatever sports season it is, he marks those days off, so he know not to take afternoon jobs, so that way he can come home and get the girls from my mom. I know everybody may not have, a way to just say, hey, I'm gonna be gone, and their children will be taken care of, but I feel blessed and lucky to be able to have that support from my husband and my parents, to be able to just say, hey, I'm gonna be gone, I need you to get the girls.
Okay.
It definitely is a blessing when you have a strong support system. I was in Jackson for 9 years and some months. So my friends became my family and my support system, but I still try to minimize how much I would call them to not be overbearing on them. But they were a support system. And now that I'm home in New Orleans, I have family I can call on. But anytime I've ever traveled, my kids, I'm going to say 9 out of 10 have always been with the father. So it's been slightly easier for me, regardless of our differences, because he still is the parent. And if I say, hey, I'm going on vacation, this month, this day, this time, I need you to get the boys, he does make arrangements to make sure that he has our children. So that part does work between us while we're co-parenting when I am traveling.
I would agree with Antoinette. My husband, he's pretty much my go-to person because he know the people that we allow. If he can't pick them up, he know the people that we allow to get the children, which usually consists of my mom and my sister. And for those who don't have that support system, I had also looked into other options. If your child go to daycare, obviously you trust the daycare that your children go to because otherwise you wouldn't send them there. You could possibly use some of the workers there. Some of the younger ones are always looking for extra cash, and they already know the teachers from daycare, so asking them, hey, can you watch them until someone can come pick them up, or even if it's for a couple of hours until the person who is responsible for caring for your child while you're gone has to do something to run errands. Daycare, the workers there, the child is used to the worker and the worker is used to the child. So I hadn't had to use that resource, but I do have that option because I know a lot of the daycare workers do look for extra money on the side outside of the daycare work. But my go-to person is normally my husband and my mom. I'm blessed to have my mom and my sister as well to help.
Wow. I never would have thought of that. That is a good little tip because they do look for extra cash. I mean, that's kind of like a win-win. Like you said, they already know the child.
It
Yeah,
is.
I never would have thought about that.
One of the workers was actually my nanny. So, she would see them at daycare. They became comfortable. So when it was time for her to come to the house, it wasn't like she was a new stranger. They knew her. They were comfortable with her. So there's just another option for them because everybody don't have a strong family support system.
Right.
So,
and that also that kind of brings me to like, would you guys ever be opposed to using nannies? I know for me personally, I want to be in a position, and I plan to be in a position when I do have children that I can afford a nanny or some additional help, like you say, because I want to still make sure a part of me, having kids older, and I want to make sure that I can do my best to make sure I can still travel and do those things. And I have looked into consider possibly having like a travel nanny for when we want to bring them with us. And also, maybe a nanny to have them while we're away. But I do feel like when we do have kids, we really will have a strong support system. It may not completely be the case, but how opposed, or if you're not opposed, what are you guys' thoughts on nannies?
I'm not opposed at all. I've actually, like with how you just mentioned, I've had a nanny while I was home and not traveling. And I've also taken my nanny with me when I did travel. I would say I would be more so opposed to having a nanny to cook for me and wash my clothes and clean my house and this and that. My nanny is pretty much just to take care of the kids. I still want to be responsible as a woman to do my own laundry, to cook for my family, to clean. Sometimes cleaning do get out of hand, so I mean I wouldn't say necessarily opposed to that, but it's just certain stuff I don't need my nanny for. Mine is mainly okay while I'm away, take care of the kids. Or when we took her on the trip with us, we went to Disney. She was basically, I let her have her fun too. But like when me and my husband want to get on a particular ride that the kids couldn't get on, I still needed to have a responsible adult there to watch my children while I rode certain things. So, that kind of helped play out with that. She was responsible for the days that I wanted to just, be kid free. Or ride, or even if they were in the park with us, if we wanted to get on a particular ride, she was responsible for that. But I'm definitely not opposed. I wouldn't have her doing all my chores and this and that. I'm paying you to care for the children, and that's pretty much all I want.
Right. Okay.
Me
I
personally,
definitely agree with Modesty.
I
Um, Go ahead, Callie.
So me personally, I have never had a nanny, but if I could afford one, I would definitely have a nanny. So,
Yeah.
so that's just my opinion.
Well, I guess I'm the one in the median because I've never had one either, and I agree with Callie, but I definitely agree with Modesty on a few things that she said. I wouldn't mind having a nanny, especially with the fact of my field being a social worker is just demanding. Period.
Mhm.
So I would definitely take advantage of having a nanny if I found someone that I trusted to specifically help with my children, because I've always needed help, and I actually still need help to this day with my children because now they're into extracurricular activities. They've done football, karate, basketball, and running home from work and trying to cook, trying to clean, and still help them with homework and do that. It can be overwhelming sometimes. It's rewarding, but the reality is it's overwhelming sometimes, and it becomes too much for me as a single mother. So having that nanny would assist me tremendously in filling that void. But I would still want to be able to clean my own house and my clothes. Like I can maintain that on my own.
Right.
But I would need that extra help, that extra security with my children, with the things that they're into now as they're getting older.
Right. I agree with you because, getting off work, then trying to hurry up to the field, you're speeding and rushing. If you
Yes.
had that extra person, already have the kids there, you can drive slowly
Yes.
to the field while they're already there. That
Mm-hmm.
you wouldn't have to, rush even if you had to stay at work late. Because I know with your job as well as mine, demanding as well, sometimes you have to work
Anything can
over,
happen.
and
Yep.
then if your child got to be at practice at a certain time, that kind of puts you in a tight spot, a tight situation. You want to be there because nobody wants their child to be late for a game or for practice and then
Yes.
get put at the end of the batting line, and so you want
And
them to
that's
be
where I am.
right. You want them to be there on time, but then you got a child who you have to find a home for, or I got a sick kid who
Yes.
come in at 5 o'clock when the clinic closed, but seeing them with a fever and looking pitiful and poor, you want to provide
Mm-hmm.
You want
support
to
and
provide
help to
for
them
them.
as well. So I
What has
definitely
helped
agree.
me, I'm gonna tell y'all something as moms too. What has actually helped me, which is something simple but really works. On a Saturday or Sunday, I was cooking 2 and 3 meals at a time, and what I would do is put the food in containers. So that Monday, Tuesday, I probably don't have to cook. We can come home, do homework, eat, and leave right out and go to practice. Come home, go over what the homework assignment was, do reading, and then go to bed. So cooking 2 and 3 meals actually on a weekend helped me out. So it alleviated some of that stress and all of that, boom,
Mm-hmm.
boom, 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 boom. Everything is back to back.
Right.
So that was something simple that really helped me as a mother.
Kind of like meal prepping.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it helped me big time.
Okay. Okay, y'all. Okay. So, what is some advice you would give to a mom who say she wants to start traveling more and maybe her children have gotten a little bit older or maybe her circumstances have changed and she's a little nervous about getting out there, especially traveling internationally? What's something that you guys would say to that particular mother? Because I'm sure we may have some moms out there that's listening that may kind of be in that same boat.
I would say
Prioritize.
I would tell moms, those that are just too over the top and afraid to leave their children, start somewhere local, a weekend getaway, and then kind of build yourself up. Because if you've never went anywhere and you go to Dubai for a week and a half, that you're not going to be able to enjoy
Mm-hmm.
yourself because you're going to be constantly worrying. Your anxiety is going to be on
Mm-hmm.
10, and you're just not going to enjoy yourself. So I would say start somewhere weekend getaway and kind of gradually increase the distance you're away from your child to kind of get it built up, because it is hard leaving your child, whether it's with someone that you trust or not. But to me, it's almost a necessity. You have to have that peace of mind, because constantly being a mom is very rewarding, but it's challenging. And then you not only just being a mom, just dealing with everyday life situations, work, school, just everyday stress.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to take care of
Yes.
yourself. So I feel like starting off somewhere small and local, weekend getaway, and then kind of gradually building yourself up to go further out would be the best advice that I could give.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually applied that. I did start off small. So for me, I can say it did work for me as a mother. I was going to Wiggins, from Wiggins to Memphis, from Memphis to taking a 3-day cruise. My 3-day cruise went from 5 to 7. And I think I took a cruise 3 times before I actually had the pleasure of taking my children on a cruise with me. But I went 3 times and I started off small from 3 to 5 to 7 days.
Yeah, that is true.
So I did things locally, then I went to just a neighbor state, and then I, traveled further out. So I started off very small, like Modesty said, but I also prioritized and communicated with my children. Even though they were young, I would still tell my children where I was going and what I was doing.
Oh yeah,
Whether they understood it or didn't, I always communicated with my children to let them know, so they still had some type of comfort knowing, hey, mom is here.
right.
And in all honesty, they actually understood it. And I think that's where they got the habit of saying, well, when are we going on a cruise?
Right.
And so they got so accustomed to knowing I was going, to knowing, okay, well, when you taking us? And I finally, made that a priority to take my children on their first cruise. But I communicated with them regardless of their age. I still do it now. I've always kept communication with them, so they can't ever say, we don't know where she is, or she don't tell us this. I tell my children.
Antionette, you actually helped me, because even though my son is 2, kids understand more than what you think. I think
Yep.
parents and just people in general, we underestimate children. And I would definitely start doing that as well, because I just leave, especially me traveling a lot. It's not only just for pleasure but for work. I don't never think to tell my son anything, but I'm definitely going to start doing that, because they actually, that's how they learn communication and
Oh, yeah.
talking and letting them know. So that's something definitely I would definitely start doing. That's impressive.
It makes a difference. It does.
I like that as well. Me personally, I hear how y'all started out small. Well, when I had my first child, I did a weekend trip, and I actually, right after I had my first child, I did a weekend trip for my birthday, and I went and visited Fatima and her husband. And we were there maybe 2 days, and then we came home. And after that, I didn't leave my baby anymore until after I had my second child. And after I had my second child, I went on a 6-day cruise with no service. So, I went from small to I got a few pictures.
To over the top.
Yes.
Them second children will make you think twice about saying, I ain't leave my kids to know anybody.
Yes.
I've been told it's always that second child.
I mean,
So everybody's always overprotective over that first. I ain't leaving my baby. Okay, have another one. You can be on a flight or a plane or a boat somewhere.
Somewhere. It's true. Like,
and I know that's true because Callie is a living witness.
She surely.
I mean, me and Mike have been friends forever, and I'll never forget. I had to do an interview right after I had my first baby, and I left her with Modesty for maybe 2 hours while I did the interview. I probably called Modesty 60 times. Like,
She did.
and
my response to her was, you get 2 calls, 2 more.
Oh, wow.
And then you're going to have to be blocked. I'm sorry. Because the baby not getting on my nerves, but you getting on my last one. So you get 2 calls, because I knew she was nervous. And at that time, I don't think that was with Ella. I didn't have kids. So, but I've always been around kids, but I understood that she was nervous. But after the multiple calls, I'm like, girl, I mean, some of this stuff is just common sense. I know how to change her. I know how to feed her. Chill out.
That bond is something serious, and it truly is a blessing, the bond a mother has with her child or her children. Because when I tell y'all, like, if I see my children hurting, I don't let them see it, but it emotionally does something to me. And I really be having to ask, am I okay? Because my whole body just shifts when I see my children hurting or when I see them excited. It's just a feeling that comes over me as a parent. And it's a really good feeling, but it's like I just It's a
Yeah,
lot.
It
I
is.
definitely agree with that.
Wow, y'all, girl, listen, I only got a 4-legged child. Y'all know I leave her in the heartbeat.
The mom dog.
Kelly, you used to say,
And she's so used to you leaving her to where you literally getting on her last nerve since you've been working at home. I've never seen a dog look at their parents and be upset. She
Oh
tired.
yes.
She's looking at you
she
like, when you
is
supposed to be
tired
going
of me,
to
y'all. She is
Africa?
tired of me. But you know what? Even for me having a dog, that first time I left her, I was a little nervous, but that was all it took after that first time. Oh, it's a wrap. We finna send her home and
It
go.
gets easier and easier after you leave your child or even your dog. It does get easier, especially if your child is in the comfort of someone you trust. It gets easier
Right.
because even though my kids were left in the care of their father, I still worried because at home, even though my ex-husband at that time he was present and we were in the home together, I still did a lot of things as the woman in that house. I still carried a lot of the weight. So to still leave my children, I was nervous. I was paranoid. I'm in here cooking food, putting in containers for this grown man. I'm doing this for these children like they weren't even his kids. And he was like, they're my kids too. But I was so accustomed to doing the majority of the household duties that I found myself talking to him like he was the child too, giving him a
Oh, I
full
can
thorough
relate.
detail on what to do, what
I
not to
can
do, what
relate
time to
to
do it.
that.
So y'all be
Yes, I
doing
can
that to
Yes,
the
relate.
I was
daddy.
doing that.
Girl, I know I do. And my husband be like, Modesty. I know how to take care of him. Who you think be doing it while you be gone? I'm like, I just need to. I feel better if I say it. So if something happens,
Yes.
you can't say you didn't tell me. No, I told you, and I'm gonna
Yes.
let it be known
Man.
that I told you. So
Oh my
and
goodness.
he know. I'm like, these shoes go at the. He was like, girl, I can dress him. But you may put him on the different shoe. I want this shoe with this outfit. It literally gets down to that for me.
Oh my goodness.
And when they make a mistake, they're going to come to you and say, what do I
Right?
do? I never forgot one time my ex-husband put the wrong medicine in my son's eye.
Oh my
He
goodness.
had a medicine for his eye, his ear, and his mouth, and he put the wrong one in his eye, and my son's eye was burning. But he came running to me, what do I do? And I'm like, what do you mean? What do you do? You don't know what to do? He said, no. But we ended up calling the hotline for poison or whatever, and we poured milk in his eye, and the baby was fine. But he came to me asking me what to do, but any other time, oh, I
I
know
know
what
what
I'm
I'm doing.
doing.
When they
Uh-uh,
know that they messed
uh-uh.
up, they like, okay, let me just go.
Yes. So I'm like,
I'm a
things happen, but you can't never say, like you said, Modesty, I
all
didn't tell you.
right.
At least you can say, I told you.
So I just try to make it as easy as possible to where a 3-year-old probably can take care of my 2-year-old. That's how plain and simple I try to make it.
Yes.
I have the socks. I'm talking about the socks out. I go ahead and put the diaper out. It be lined up on the bed Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. However I'm gone, however many days.
Lord have mercy. But you know what? That's smart. That actually makes sense. That really makes sense. I mean, unfortunately for me, I'm a little nervous for when I have kids because shoot, I forget to feed my dog half the time, and David is the one that's like, "You got to do this, and you got to do that," and I be telling him, "I know what I'm doing," and it's the other way around with a dog for sure right now. So, but that does make sense for it to just y'all to just for your peace of mind, for everybody's peace of mind, just lay it all out, lay it on the table. It is what it is, and then you catch your flight. And I just want to commend you guys again because I've seen the shift at all stages for you all, and I've just seen how you guys have just made it your priority to just still go out there, travel the world, take care of yourself and your self-care. And y'all, let me just, for the listeners who don't know, these are all some dope moms. I have seen them in action. They are amazing mothers to their children. And so yes, they still travel, but yes, they are still amazing at being parents. And so I just want y'all to know that from me to you, that when I become a mom, I'm looking up to y'all, even though my kids may be, you know, a baby while y'all kids in high school, and I may have some babysitters.
Uh-huh.
But
Uh-huh.
still, like, hats off to y'all. I respect it, and that's where I want to be. So we're gonna switch gears. This is what I like to call the travel tea for the episode, which is where I select a hot topic in the travel community that we will discuss. And so the travel tea for this episode is mommy guilt. And I'm sure you guys have heard, we've kind of talked about this. You guys have heard the snide remarks from people in your lives who try to make you feel bad about traveling without your children. And so let's talk.
Yep.
For me, I know I'm not a mom yet. And I know I don't want that in. I think what I fear about becoming a parent one day is I don't want to lose who I am or the individual part that makes me me. And I don't want to lose that. And I don't want to lose my passion for traveling. And honestly, that is a fear that I have about becoming a parent one day. And so that's why I look up to you guys so much. But that's one of the things that scares me. And I know that it really wouldn't even be me, but society has its way of kind of making you feel like you should be doing X, Y, Z, when really, that's not, everybody does things differently, and times have changed. We're no longer, a lot of times them people that used to do that, they kind of brag about, well, grandma did this and but grandma might have been miserable too, because grandma never did nothing for herself. Grandma only did for everybody else. And times have kind of changed. It's kind of been a shift now. You're starting to see like women, we're holding it down. We're doing this, we're doing that, and raising the children. And like Beyonce said, and get back to business. So like, it's a change in the world. And so I really love that change, because when I become a parent, I don't want to feel like it reflects poor on my parenting, because I enjoy myself without my children, right? And so I still want to be able to keep my girls' trips, my vacations, and my family vacations too, and bring the kids with me sometimes too. But I do want that alone time. And so I honestly feel like if it was a dad, no one would bat an eyelash, right? Like it would be nothing if it was the father that was like, hey, I'm going with my friends on a trip, and the mom is home with the kids. No one would say anything. And so I hate that there's kind of like this thing in society where it's like, oh, the mom though, you're not supposed to do that. And so let's just talk about it, ladies. Let's talk about it. What you guys, what is the thought process, or what are you guys' thoughts on mom guilt? How real is it, and what do you do about it?
Oh, it's real, because I have gotten backlash from my own relatives. And I've gotten backlash from my relatives more than I have from colleagues, more than a significant other or friends. It has been my family, and the comments were made, you always taking a trip. When are you going to bring the children? And my comment was, when you pay for all three of us to go, because taking my children on a trip is never going to be an issue for me. And I am going to start prioritizing that more and expanding us three going on a trip and not just me. But it took a very, very long time for me to even put self first and start making myself do things for just me as a woman. Because I'm like, at the end of the day, I am a woman before I'm a mother. It took a long time for me to get there. So I finally started initiating that, putting self first, knowing self worth. But after, I kind of got the hang of that and taking trips with friends or however, I did start taking my children. But my own family was the one making comments, and they actually still do to this day. And my children are older. Well, when are you going to take the boys on another trip? You're planning a trip with your friends. And, I kind of have to do it in a very humble way, but straightforward way, to where they know my children have always been a priority, and they always will. And I'm going to take them on trips. But once again, when they're not on trips, guess what? We're doing multiple activities here in our city, in our hometown. I'm also making sure that my children are in any curricular activity that they ask to be in on top of school. So my children are always involved in things that they like, that's of interest to them. So just because we're not traveling, it doesn't mean that my children are not being able to be 9-year-old boys and getting things that they have an interest in. It's just in a different direction. But I'm like, I still have to take time for self, because when I'm not doing that, I'm trying to get rest. So here I am working, if not 1, 2, 3 jobs. I've done it in the past, while making sure I get my children to school, from school, aftercare, curricular activities. I'm always on the go with my children outside of traveling. So it's still important that I incorporate that time for myself. But I have gotten backlash several times and still do to this day.
I agree. Society, for a mom to go on a trip, you would think that the world has literally stopped. I received more backlash from coworkers. And at first I used to be real calm and professional. And now I just be ghetto with them and tell them, I just feel like you're jealous. Like, are you jealous that you couldn't leave your children? Are you jealous because you didn't have that support? Because a lot of the trips that I've taken, because I have a 2-year-old and then I also was a foster mom. So I've had 3 children.
Mm-hmm.
Most of a lot of the times, like 3 children 2 and under that I've left, and my coworkers like, you left your kids with and you left your husband, your kids. Okay, well, he's an adult, and you said it right, my husband, which is their father. So what makes him less capable of taking care of them than me? He can do
Yes.
it while I'm there, he can do it while I'm away, and it's not like I'm leaving and not coming back. I'm making it easier for him. And I'm like, and he's not complaining. So what's your problem? So I feel like it's just them feeling
That's
so bad
jealousy.
about themselves and just so jealous and cold hearted because they can't do it,
Mm-hmm.
to where they try to make you feel bad. And I tell them now, you're not going to make me feel bad for being a woman, because I take care of my children. And I feel like other parents who, give us backlash are the ones who go and does nothing with their children. Because if you do things with your children, you wouldn't feel bad about leaving them. So I feel like, even
Yes.
though they're not coming on a trip, just like Antoinette said, we're doing other things together. Maybe I know my children, they're 3, he's 2. I'm not going to be taking him out the country right now. So we do other things together. So I don't have that guilt because I know what I do as a mom. I know I provide for him, and he's very well taken care of. So I'm not going to feel guilty. But for some people who dress from head to toe, and little Johnny, it got their pants hanging to their knees because they so short, those are the ones that feel bad. And I feel like coworkers are those who probably can't afford to go on a trip by themselves out of country, let alone take their children, and then just don't have that support.
They're
I feel like it's
fearful.
just jealousy. And at first I was
Yes.
like, you think it's something wrong, but now I'm like, because I want to, and I got the money to do it, and I'm gonna continue to do it.
Okay,
Period.
period.
I think it's fearful and jealousy, and they're trying to project that
Yes,
onto
but
you.
your energy
But they
ain't coming
cannot
this way.
project their lifestyle
Right.
onto
Your
you.
energy isn't coming this way. And I'm gonna make sure every time I get a stamp in my passport, I'm gonna come show it to you, to make you even more mad, to make you more jealous, to make you work 70 hours a week to try to get to where I am. Don't do that.
Let them know. I will say a lot of times too that I feel like there is a lot of projection. People kind of project their insecurities onto you, and that applies to a lot of things. And like Modesty said, when they, or even in, and I'm not, no disrespect to your family, I don't know if this is the case, but I can imagine, because I'm thinking about other situations that I have experienced, even for me taking kids and all of that out of the equation. But when something, when they didn't do something back in their time, they feel like, well, back in the 60s, hell, we didn't do that, and you're doing it, and they want you to suffer because they didn't do it back in the day when they had the chance. And so it's like, well, it's a totally different time now. Things have changed. I'm in a totally different situation than you were in the 60s. It's no longer the days where the husband is leaving, making all the money, and I'm home sitting on the couch not doing anything and raising the kids, and that's my entire life. Like, long gone are those days. Like, things are different. So you want me to suffer because you suffered during that time, and you didn't take trips when you had your kids, and you feel like I shouldn't. And so I
I
think that
agree.
Right.
that's a lot of what you guys see at play, um is a lot of insecurities. So I think
It
that's what it
is.
boils down to. I mean, and that is where that mom guilt, I feel, comes from. Like, I honestly feel that that's probably the source of it, is that it's just people putting that guilt into your ear. You probably wouldn't feel that guilt had no one pointed it out to you.
Right. Especially for people who are
Yep.
not really strong and are so, timid,
Mm-hmm.
and because I was that person at one point. I was like, well, should I not go? But like Antionette said, you're a mother, you're a woman before anything. And if traveling is what makes you sane again to be able to function and keep going, then by all means travel. Whatever you have to do to take care of yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself, I don't care how many kids you got, you ain't gonna be able to take care of
Because you
them.
can't pour
If
from an
you're
empty
not
cup. Yep.
right, if you there you go. You cannot pour from an empty cup. If you can't take care of yourself, you're not gonna be no good to the rest of the people that you have to take care of. You're just not gonna do it. So if traveling is your way of a refreshing start, then you have to do it. You have to make a way to do it.
And I didn't want me being a mom to change who I am as a woman. I was traveling way before I even had children. And I caught myself after I had children almost losing myself as a woman. It was certain things that I wasn't even doing for myself anymore. And I said, before you let multiple years get past and you look up and your children are in high school and then in college, and then you're trying to regain who you are as a woman, I made it a priority to stop it and start saying you're going to start doing those little things for yourself that you were doing before you had children, because you're still the same woman. You're just now a woman with
For
With more
me,
but you're
responsibilities.
still that same
when I think
woman with more
of the
responsibilities.
whole mommy guilt, it's so much like that comes into play. Um, One of the biggest things for me was even recently we went on our trip to Dubai. Like so many people was like, "Didn't you just come back from another trip?" Because we had took our children to California, and then like it's crazy, but and I really it's like sometimes it's just like I can't believe the audacity. Some people like some of the things people say. Like I literally had three different people ask me, and two people that work with my mom asked her, "Well, how can she afford to go to Dubai?"
Oh, Callie, I knew you was about to say that,
And
and I'm ready to talk
so
about that, baby.
Mm-mm.
I knew you was about to say a
and
forward.
so
I
my
knew it.
thing is one, I have if anybody who really like, of course I'm not the type that posts about my finances or anything on any kind of anything. And if the people who know me know saving has always been something I have
Yes.
done since I was in high school. Like that's me.
I know you, child.
Like I save.
Right, but you shouldn't have to explain that to nobody. Why? First
Okay.
of all, why are you
Right.
Let's
counting my
start
And
with
then
coins? I'm not in a line, standing in
we.
line trying to
Yes.
get my light bill paid. I don't have a GoFundMe to pay my mortgage.
and I
So why,
never
why
ask
are
I was
you
gonna
anybody
say
worried?
for anything.
you
Like
never asked.
y'all are my friends. I never ask y'all for anything.
What do you say to the woman who is not other people? She's in her own head about her mom guilt. You know, maybe she does have a great people that try to encourage her to go or whatever, the case may be. But it's her that's in her head with the guilt. What do you say to her, to
I
that mom?
I personally would say if you're having your own mom guilt about doing something for yourself, I get it because I have been in that position. But I also know that how can you be your best you for your child if you are not mentally and in a space to where you are able to, be able to just let loose. And when I say let loose, I don't mean be wild. I mean, not have to worry about making sure your child is here, making sure this is getting done. As at some point, you are going to get to where you are just totally stressed and relaxing, going on a stress-free vacation is one of those things that you can do to not have that so much I guess anxiety built up with all the worry that comes along with being multiple things to multiple people. Sometimes you have to take time and be just one thing for yourself, and that is give yourself relaxation.
Don't lose yourself. You need to remember who you were before you had children. I can't say it enough. At the end of the day, you are a woman first. And taking time for self is very vital. If you don't take care of self, you can't even take care of your own children. You need that energy, that strength, and that comes with making sure that you're okay. There's nothing wrong with being selfish from time to time, making sure that you have that me time, that alone time. It gives you sanity, it gives you security to be able to push forward with being a great mother. So just remember that you are a woman first and who you were before you had children. You don't have to delete your identity as a woman because you're
Yes.
now a mother. You just enhance that identity.
I agree.
Okay. Well, ladies, that ends travel tea. That was very refreshing. I enjoyed it, and I'm sure that there are some moms out there who needed to hear that, who needed to hear that it is okay to do a reset. It's okay to take a girls trip. It's okay to go on a
Oh
trip
yeah.
with just you and the husband. I'm sorry. Like it's okay. So I'm glad that you guys have said what you've said. People need to hear that. Society has got to do better with that as well. You know, I hate to say it, but society has got to switch the way also try to dictate what we should or should not be doing. So you just got to get to a place where you're comfortable enough within yourself and who you are as a person, as a parent, the whole nine, to where that you can take that out your head. So thank y'all for the dialogue on that. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to be taking questions from our listeners.
My name is Danielle, and I am from Collierville, Tennessee. And my question is, what advice could you give to a single mom who really wants to start traveling but is nervous about leaving my child, even with someone I trust?
If you are afraid to leave, you need to start off small. Modesty said this earlier. She can even go to a hotel in the same city and state as her child and just go away for the weekend at a hotel. Something simple, something small, but something that gives her an opportunity to focus on self, but she's still close to her child in case of an emergency. She's going to have to find small ways to alleviate that fear. If she keeps the fear, she will never take a step out on faith and put herself first with
I agree with that.
traveling.
I would also say just think about your everyday life. Obviously, you trust your child with somebody, especially if the child goes to school or daycare or somewhere. If you work, who keeps the child in, or if you're in school, who keeps the child in. So you trust someone to care for your child. So you just have to just expand upon that. I mean, if you trust someone with your child through the weekday for 8 hours a day, whether it's school or daycare, then you can pretty much do the same thing for taking a vacation. Just start off small and work your way up. It's it's the same.
Yes.
You're not around your child 24/7 now, I'm sure. So you just have to just take it one day at a time. You're doing it now, everyday life, so you can do it for a trip to replenish yourself as a single mom.
Callie, you there?
Yes, I honestly think that what both Antoinette and Modesty said is how I feel. You have to give yourself some time. I know that it can be a lot of anxiety leaving your children or child, but at some point, I mean, I personally don't know anybody who is with their child 24/7. So at some point, you have to trust someone to be around your child. And when you find that person that you can trust, I would say at least try to get, even if it's not a weekend getaway, maybe have a day trip somewhere to where, you come back home, but just give yourself that me time.
Hi, Pretty Wanderer. It's Lakish from Memphis. So, I just have one question to ask. What would you say to a mom like myself who would like to start traveling more, but the funds aren't ever right?
Me personally, saving has always been a big priority for me, which is why I am able to do most of the things. And another thing that I do is I don't try to keep up with my friends or what I see others doing. I do what is in my budget. For instance, when I got ready to purchase a home, I knew that if I got a house note with a $1,400-$1,500 mortgage, I wouldn't be able to continue to do 3 vacations a year. So I got something that was within my budget that I could still do 3 vacations a year. We needed a new vehicle recently. I wanted a Tahoe so bad, but a Tahoe is going to, come with at least $900 with additional bills, because by the time you pay the car note and the insurance, it's going to run about $900. I knew I could not add that and still continue to do the things I like to do. So I didn't get it. I got a Honda Accord. Although I love it, it was in my budget. And for me, I make sure I save 30% of every check every single time I get it. And that has helped me tremendously. I mean, I know a lot of people don't know this, but I didn't work for 2 years and I didn't have to ask anybody for anything. So, and nothing went without getting paid. So you have to, self-discipline. You can't say I want to travel, but then you go and buying, Michael Kors bags every week. You can't say you want to travel and, you eating crabs at the casino every weekend. I mean, you have to prioritize. Do you want to eat crab legs or do you want to be in Jamaica? You have to decide what you want to do.
I agree 100% with Callie. It's definitely self-discipline. She hit the nail on the head. You can't say you want to do something and then still spend it uncontrollably. And I tell people all the time, like, just looking around at people on social media, they always posting that they want to start doing this, they want to start doing that. Okay, a pair of Jordans probably come out twice a month. Grown people Jordan is $200.
Less
How much
than
is a pair of
$200?
Yes.
So
$150.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, one pair, you're not gonna hurt for one pair of them Jordans, because I can assure you next year
With a different
they're
color.
gonna be remade in a different color.
They come out again.
So just
Yes,
put
a
Jordan
different
back,
color.
just let them stay at Foot Locker and get you that passport. And I would say another thing, for me, depending on, I got a few things to say. Depending on what kind of job you have, I know I have a job where I can work some overtime. So if I know that I'm going on a trip, I give myself ample amount of time, and I know my bills, and then I can say, okay, I'm gonna work an extra shift this week, as long as it don't interfere with nothing my children have to do. Okay, I can pull an extra 12-hour shift here, or I can work an extra 8-hour shift there. I know how to add extra shifts to get the money that I need, because once the trip is paid off, you don't want to be on a trip. You can be on a budget, but you don't want to be over there with no money, because not only are you going to be miserable, the people you with, they gonna clown you. And we're gonna clown you if you spend all this money to get here and then you gotta sit and look in the room. So going on the trip goes beyond just paying for the trip. You have to have the funds to do excursions and do other things. And I will also say, I never used to use a travel agent. I just got into it with the Dubai trip with Fatima. And you can get put on payment plans. It's not, and with certain agents,
That's my best friend.
You pay how you want to pay, as long as the trip is paid off within 30 days. Meaning, if you plan a trip a year in advance, you pay how you want to. It's not like, okay, in January I have to pay such and such, because something may happen in January. Your hours may get cut. You may get laid off or something. You may not can make that payment, but that's okay, because you're paying how you choose.
It's not that you can't go because of funding. It's because you are putting your funds other places.
Well, ladies, we've got to wrap it up. That was the last question. I know that you guys for sure have inspired someone. And so if y'all don't mind, please let the people know how they can connect with y'all.
You all can connect with me on Facebook by finding me at Antionette Dominique or Kiss Twin on IG.
Yes, you can find me on Facebook at Callie Cook. Although I did say I'm 30, but I have no idea how to use Twitter. So I don't have a Twitter and I don't have Instagram.
Okay, you guys can find me on Facebook at Modesty Fairley. And Fairley is Ley and not Ly. And you can also hit me up on IG at nurse_mod08.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for being here today. It was a pleasure. And y'all have a happy Mother's Day.
Thank
Awesome
you.
Mother's Day. All right. Bye, ladies.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Listen, I am so proud of those ladies. I don't think that you guys understand. And I'm actually proud of all the moms out there. It's Mother's Day weekend. I want you guys to enjoy your Mother's Day. Do something for yourself. Possibly plan your trip for next year. Hopefully this episode inspired you to do so. And so now the moment everyone has been waiting for. And that is the winner of the passport giveaway. And that winner of the passport giveaway is Callie Ramsey. Callie Ramsey, you are the winner of the passport giveaway. Be sure to email me at theprettywandererchannel@gmail.com to discuss further. I will consult you through the process and pay for your passport. I will do another giveaway this season, so stay tuned for that. And you will not want to miss next week's episode. I promise you, you guys are in for a treat. Thank you. Have a good day. And as always, I will catch y'all next week.